Okay, so this is a draw with me, step 1, loosen your wrists. So we're gonna draw a bunch of different circles here. I like to draw, roughly around 100. It helps loosen up your wrist a lot and get an idea of like perspective. I had to jump around a whole lot here because it was a really long clip, so I edited somehow. But you see how I got a bunch of different smaller to larger. It helps with like perspective and things like that. So I draw smaller to get a little bit more control, and then those big large ones to really loosen up. And then we're gonna draw some triangles. So I left the whole clip in here for just a general talk, and this helps with like line control, things like that, connecting lines, and it's just generally good to practice some good shapes. I suggest also doing some rectangles as well. Rectangles are pretty good for line control and connecting lines, but drawing smaller to bigger really does help loosen up your wrist instead of drawing with like your arm, which is good. Next we did, I think line control and line weight, yeah. So really important for like any lining that you're gonna do is having the ability to understand line weight and be able to consistently do it with your hands. So you're just gonna wanna press a little bit harder down into the paper to get those big, large lines just smaller. They're not gonna look exactly like this because of course I'm drawing with my own iPad, so it's not gonna look exactly like that, but yeah. Here's breaking down some shapes when looking at like human anatomy, and I just gave you some different examples of like shapes that bodies are gonna come into, and a bunch of different ways of breaking down the body. So here's like the line process where you break down things into lines, and it gives you a general rundown of what the body's gonna look like, but it's pretty stiff. Here's another example where you're drawing just larger general shapes, so you're not breaking down with those lines. You're actually drawing the shapes, so you get an idea of what makes up a body when drawing it anatomically. And then here's the last one. This is one I really like if I'm having difficulty with a pose. So you're gonna draw out the shapes that do an overlay. So you can do this by like gently putting your pencil over top of a picture. Here's another example of that. This is for like perspective, because I really struggle with perspective sometimes. So like you can see how the body is like bending just a little bit. Those legs are bending. That first foot is forward, but actually I wanted to do it for this arm. So you're just breaking down some shapes. Here's like another example of like an outline, while also using that stick method to break down simple shapes from a drawing. This is really good to just help you understand proportion. Now this isn't going to get you like immediately really good at anatomy. You're going to really want to do some anatomy practice. So I really suggest referencing drawings and drawing them from eye as well. But here's me taking that same concept, using those to help me understand like lengths of the body, so like what it's gonna look like all together. So you see how there are some problems with this general line rule. So you don't really get an idea of like muscle or anything, it's just a general pose. So here's an idea of like fats. It gives you like a better understanding of like weight distribution. See how it's better a little bit on the legs, and it gives you just a better idea of perspective. This is the last one also. It gives you a good idea of like what the fat distribution looks like, and also, you know, generally where limbs meet, but it's not always like the best for understanding anatomy. So all three processes are pretty good and useful, but they all have their own uses. I like the middle one the best. I think the middle one is the most ideal, as I wrote there. Here's like another example with some foreshadowing. Had a little bit of difficulty with this because you don't really have the drawing next to it for perspective. That's usually what I do. So I rushed these just a little bit, but it's not too horrible. You get the general idea. See, I was having a little bit of a hard time with the foreshadowing of that arm, but eventually I get it, Here's like the legs. Honestly, I think this is the most ideal for like legs for me because I really, you can struggle with like leg length in comparison. Here's like I was referencing the picture again for what like the hand was gonna look like. And then here's that same line dynamic with like filling out the general body. I'm not too proud of this one. It was just a really quick and easy sketch to kind of loosen up a little bit. You can get an idea of like again, just proportions, which is honestly the most important with drawing. And then understanding a little bit of line read. So usually I suggest keeping your drawing right next to you so you can continuously reference it during these processes. I can send some good examples of like, here's me breaking down the shapes even more so that you can get an idea of what shapes I use to help make a drawing. Here's a little example of foreshadowing there. And then here's another, like, I built out the stomach, the hips, the thighs and knees, shapes of the calves and etc. Here's the shoulders and such. And then I just did that for kind of each to just give you an idea also of proportion. It's good to keep in mind, each body should be around 3 heads length. So if you're not referencing a drawing like this, you're going to want to keep in mind that torso length. So that's just pretty good. Here's me applying those same ideas. See how I tried to keep that 3 head length for the torso, and then I followed that same leg shapes, some arms. It's just a quick little drawing that I did to give you just an idea of, and here's me like outlining it just a little bit so you can see even more. Again, we're just really quick, nothing too amazing. And whenever you're really noticing you're struggling with anatomy, it's good to just kind of come back to these to practice. Sorry, I got a Discord notification. It's good to come back to these just general warm-ups so that you can practice your anatomy again. So that's just this is breaking down some more shapes. So this is because you said you wanted to emulate my style, so I gave you an idea of what it looks like to draw one of my heads. So generally I start out with like a rectangle shape. Now my style doesn't give a whole lot for like body shapes, so I'm definitely going to try exploring that more in videos with you, and you can kind of watch me grow. But you want to get an idea for like the chin, the jaw, and more ideally like cheekbones, where the eyes lay out. Eyes are always going to be at least an eye apart, so that's where like the nose is. See, I'm drawing out the nose there. And then my nose are a little bit more stylized. They don't exactly follow general laws of nature. And there you go. You can see I like to give a good amount of forehead space because, the hairline is up there. So I usually like to keep about 2 eye lengths for the forehead. I should have drawn out the headline or the hairline. I didn't. So there's the rundown of what like the skull would look like if I were to use this as a general idea. So I drew out like where the mouth is, the eye holes would be, the nose hole, cheekbones there, the jawline. And again, that's a pretty stylized skull, but you get the point there. I'm trying to emulate skull-like structures. And there's what it kind of looks like when it's all said and done. again, just really basic lines. Now we're going to compare that to a normal skull, so an unstylized skull. So you're going to see there are some similarities there. You see the eye holes, that's where your full eyeball is going to lay, and then you're going to want to kind of build your eyes over top of that so the eyelids come over top. The nose bridge, you can see you build like a nose there. I'm not super used to drawing over normal skulls. I think this was a pretty good exercise for me, and I'd like to try doing that again. Maybe get a video tutorial on how to do it a little bit better so that I can explain it better. But you can see like the cheekbones go down to the jaw. And you're just following like the natural shapes. It's good to draw over top of skulls. Again, I'm not super experienced in doing this, so I will watch some more videos to get an idea on. Okay, so I kind of destroyed part of the art piece because it did not come out well. Trust me, you don't want to see it. So you're going to want to practice the skulls here. I was just giving you an example on how to draw out some. Sorry, I had to delete another part. Anyways, so there's just like a whole lot of sitting on that skull piece, which I didn't notice from the first time going through it. But I don't need to make this super nice because you're the only one who's gonna see this. So here's just me drawing the rest of the shapes here. I drew it a little fast. I think it was a little too fast for the screen to catch it, but just drawing out the general shapes, get an idea of what a skull looks like even from the front. Now you're gonna want to really use a reference for this because it'll also help you kind of stylize just a little bit. So you can see I'm drawing a little bit over top, so you can see how I took that skill and drew a face over top. So that, it has anatomically correct facial structure. Now, facial structures can look all different. There's tons of different weight distributions. Skulls can look different. So you're going to want to get, a variety of skulls that you're practicing against. I only have one here. But you see how, I applied similar ideas from the original to this one. There's a little drawing of me. Isn't that fun? That's kind of cute. And then I did another one kind of without a reference, so I'm kind of kicking my ass at the end here with that. But you see I drew like a similar structure with the jaw, and then the eyes, and then the rest of the head. Again, I would say this was a little bit more, what's it called? It's a little bit more stylized than it should have been. I should have gotten a reference for this because I'm not really used to drawing skulls, but I fix it up a little bit here. You see I said use refs. So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck, Kaden. Bye-bye.